Hey everyone, and welcome. Think of me as your personal financial coach today. We're going to jump right into this explainer, breaking down a totally practical, step-by-step blueprint for building wealth. And honestly, here is the absolute best part. This playbook is built specifically for you, even if you're starting your financial journey on a modest income. We're going to look closely at the strategies proving that financial freedom isn't some exclusive club. We're mapping out the exact plays you need to run to secure your future. Okay, so let's just dive right into our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1, the mindset shift, 2, the defensive plays, 3, the offensive plays, 4, the trap, and finally, 5, the long game.
All right, part 1, the mindset shift. Let's get right into it.
You know, so many people look at their current paycheck and just immediately count themselves out of the wealth building game entirely. We have got to dismantle that myth right now. Wealth is not just for top executives or celebrities or people born with a trust fund. To really get this, we need to separate two things people constantly confuse: income and wealth. Income is simply the money you earn. Wealth, that's the money you actually keep and grow. Think about it like this. You could have someone earning $200,000 a year, but they spend every single dime of it to maintain this flashy lifestyle. They might literally have far less wealth than someone making $40,000 a year who quietly, consistently saves and invests. Building wealth really only starts when you stop obsessing over what you earn and start focusing on accumulating assets. Which brings us right to part 2, the defensive plays. Let's see how this builds out.
Okay, so since keeping your money is just as important as making it, we need to establish the foundational habits to plug any financial leaks. When your income is on the lower side, every single dollar matters. You can't build a solid financial house on a leaky foundation, right? So here are your defensive micro actions. Step 1, track your expenses. You have to know exactly where your cash is going every month so you can spot the waste. Step 2, create a simple budget. And look, this isn't about depriving yourself. It's about being intentional and taking control. Step 3, save a small emergency fund. By keeping your spending below your income, you create a gap. That gap between what you make and what you spend, that is your golden ticket. Actually, a lot of wealthy folks intentionally live way below their means long after they become successful, just to keep that gap wide open.
Now, when I say emergency fund for step 3, I know that sounds incredibly daunting, but I really want you to focus on a totally achievable number here, just a few $100s. Seriously, an emergency fund doesn't need to be this massive, intimidating thing on day 1. Having just a few $100 tucked away protects you from spiraling into a debt trap over, say, a random car repair or a surprise medical bill. Start small. Over time, yeah, you'll work up to covering a few months of expenses, but for now, just getting that starter fund gives you such profound peace of mind. And our final defensive play? It's absolutely crucial. Eliminate your high-interest debt to protect your wealth. Debt is arguably the biggest obstacle to building your future. High-interest debt, especially from credit cards, literally eats up the exact dollars that should be working for you. You've got to make a solid plan to attack that expensive debt as fast as possible, because every single dollar you aren't throwing away on interest is a dollar you get to keep. All right, let's switch gears. Part 3, the offensive plays. Look, managing your expenses is incredibly important, but mathematically, there's a limit to how much you can cut from a modest income, right? So to really accelerate your financial progress, we've got to play some offense. We need to talk about increasing your earning potential. And here's a really fascinating shift in perspective. Your skills are actually one of your greatest financial assets. Developing your skills, things like communication, sales, marketing, tech, leadership, financial literacy, or entrepreneurship, directly increases your long-term earning power. You can leverage these through freelancing, a side business, consulting, whatever it is. Even a seemingly small bump in your monthly income from these new skills can make a massive, life-changing difference over the long haul.
So as you start bringing in more money, you need to know exactly where to put it. Wealthy people aggressively prioritize acquiring assets over buying liabilities. Assets put money into your pocket or go up in value over time. Think investments, businesses, real estate, and like we just talked about, valuable skills. Liabilities, on the flip side, are things that constantly cost you money and drop in value. To build real wealth, you got to gradually and deliberately increase the number of assets you own.
And honestly, the absolute best way to get those assets is just to start investing early for compound growth. We need to completely destroy the myth right now that you need a huge pile of cash to start investing. Waiting around for the perfect time or the perfect salary just leads to completely missed opportunities. Getting into the market early, even with tiny amounts regularly, is exactly how you capture the magic of compound growth.
The earlier you start, the more time your investments have to multiply.
But wait, there is a catch. Part 4, the trap. As you're running these plays and eventually making more money, there's a very common pitfall that completely derails people. It's known as lifestyle inflation. You get a raise and boom. The temptation, the trap, is to immediately upgrade to a more expensive apartment or make unnecessary purchases. The wealthy move, though, directing a good chunk of that raise straight into your savings and increasing your investments. Extra income is super tempting, but avoiding lifestyle inflation instead of spending every single increase you get is what actually ensures your wealth grows right alongside your paycheck. All right, rounding the corner here. Part 5, the long game.
Avoiding that lifestyle trap takes serious discipline. As your financial coach, I've got to shoot straight with you. Wealth is rarely created through quick schemes or overnight success. It requires real psychological fortitude and a long-term mindset. You have to focus on where you want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years, instead of just seeking instant rewards today. Look at this quote. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Let that sink in. People give up because wealth building feels painfully slow at first. It usually grows very quietly in the beginning. It's built on small savings, small investments, tiny improvements. You don't need a dramatic, intense overhaul overnight. Those small, consistent actions compound into magnificent results over time. You just simply need to keep moving forward.
Because at the end of the day, wealth is not built in a day. It's built one decision at a time. Building wealth on a low income is tough, no doubt about it, but it is far from impossible. You might not be able to control every single aspect of your financial situation right now, but you fully control your daily habits, your choices, and your mindset. If you live below your means, save consistently, invest wisely, and keep learning new skills, those choices will dramatically change your future.
So as we wrap up this explainer, the crucial takeaway is this. No matter where you're starting from today, your journey to financial freedom begins right now with the very next decision you make. I want to leave you with a question to really think about. What do you think is the biggest challenge of building wealth on a low income? Reflect on that. Figure out what your own biggest hurdle is and use the playbook we've gone through today to start overcoming it. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.